Canty and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
McCarthy to pass. Gets it completed. It's a touchdown.
I love the grit, the toughness, the competitiveness.
When the money's on the line and, we got to go make plays, he was fantastic.
J.J. McCarthy is so smart, so tough, athletic. He's kind of old school.
Someone that loves winning, someone that is unselfish, someone that's going to take over a team.
One day away from the NFL draft, J.J. McCarthy, national championship quarterback for Michigan. A huge storyline. We will be in Detroit for the draft, brought to you by True Green. Get the best lawn at the best price, guaranteed. We're going to get to the draft in a second. There was a big debate about what states are in the Midwest during the break.
America's heartland.
So I know that Ohio's in the Midwest. I said that I think some people in Ohio don't necessarily consider themselves in the Midwest. Am I wrong about that?
I don't know what they consider, but as someone who's from the Midwest, I certainly put Ohio in the Midwest. They're in the Big Ten.
Right.
Well, I guess so.
So USC's and UCLA?
I guess
Rutgers?
Maryland is not in the,
yeah,
in the
exactly.
Midwest. But I'm just
terrible example now. That cannot be used. When we were growing up, that could be used. Not anymore.
Yeah.
But the other ones, you want to eliminate the Dakotas for the Midwest?
Yeah, I'm sorry. All due respect to the Dakotas. Shout out to you guys. You're not in the Midwest.
Is Nebraska?
I think that corridor of North and South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, it's almost its own column.
So everything west of the Mississippi.
Yeah, it's almost like Midwest West. They need their
Midwest West?
Yeah, because I consider really Minnesota down, and basically between Minnesota and Ohio. That little chunk right there to me is the Midwest. So Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Wisconsin,
those are all
Illinois, Indiana.
None of those are west.
No, I'm saying anything
She wants a Midwest West and a Midwest East.
Of the Mississippi. That is kind of my little Midwest chunk. Now, technically, obviously, Nebraska and Kansas, farmland, heartland, Midwest, but it just feels a little west. The Dakotas feel like it should be lumped into kind of an upper crust.
An upper crust?
Yeah.
Canada?
Almost like push that over with the Montanas and Wyomings of kind of the Northwest.
So you're redoing the map of the United States here.
Yeah, the Dakotas are kind of the central Northwest.
So how many categories do we have? We have the West Midwest, the Central
Northwest.
The Central North. I can't keep track of this. You have basically made this into the college conferences.
If I met someone on the plane today, if I sit down and the person next to me says, "Where are you from?" And I say, "Oh, I'm from Illinois." And they're like, "Ah, Midwest. Me too. I'm from North Dakota." I'd be like, "No, you're not."
No, you're not from North Dakota? Or no, you're not from the Midwest?
No, you're not from the Midwest.
Got it. Okay.
It just would not feel Midwest to me. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some of our lovely community members, our unsportsmanlike community members from the Dakotas can chime in here. But I don't even know if they would identify Midwest.
Wait, so what states are in question for you here as to whether or not they're in the Midwest?
The Dakota Corridor. So
the Dakota Corridor. Again, a term that does not exist, but go ahead.
North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma. That little corridor, top to bottom, that column is a little sus to me.
I see what's happening. I didn't pick up on this. You work the map of the United States, you work in columns.
Yeah.
That is fascinating. So where's Texas for you?
Texas is his own deal. Texas is Texas.
What about Arkansas?
Why did you just change your voice for that?
Texas is Texas.
What are you, Tyrese Halliburton? Changing your voice all the time?
Texas is his own country, but Texas is the South.
Texas is his own country.
Yeah, there's America and then there's Texas. No, Arkansas is the South. No doubt Arkansas is the South.
All right, so we need the debate out here as to the two Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, and Oklahoma City. Are they in the Midwest? 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Your telephone number to join the show and weigh in on Smalls is America. That's what we realize. Michelle Smallman has a new map of the United States that does not align with the actual map of the United States. The North and South Dakota corridor, that column, are they all Midwest or not Midwest? 888-SAY-ESPN. Now, we know Michigan is in the Midwest, right?
Firmly in the Midwest.
And we are heading there today. Our producer, Nuno, has noticed something by way of ESPN Bet that is very, very interesting about their former quarterback and their former head coach. Nuno, I give you all the credit on this because what a catch by you. Can you explain what's happening here?
All right, so the quarterback that everyone doesn't know where he's going to land is J.J. McCarthy, right?
Right.
So
Yep.
Right.
His odds have moved. But the interesting thing is, so have the Chargers' odds of not only drafting McCarthy, but drafting a quarterback. So the Chargers' odds to draft McCarthy were as long as 40-1. They are now 8-1, according to our friends at ESPN Bet. The Chargers' odds to draft a quarterback with their first pick opened at 100-1 and are now at 6-1. So the question is, are the Chargers really considering taking a quarterback, or is there a chance that they already have a deal in place for, let's say, McCarthy if he's there with another team?
So this is what I want to try to understand here. Are we saying at ESPN Bet, the official sportsbook of ESPN, only place to find offers from your favorite shows and personalities like Stephen A. What a Play. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details at ESPN Bet, and we will be at the ESPN Bet location in Detroit starting tomorrow. Are they saying that J.J. McCarthy is going to go 5 to the Chargers slot? Or are they saying he's going to go to the Chargers potentially as a team? And is that why the odds go from 100-1 to 6-1? Because those are two different things. Like, technically, Eli Manning was drafted by the Chargers and Phillip Rivers was drafted by the Giants, right? So if you say, could J.J. McCarthy be drafted by the Chargers tomorrow night? Yes. Could he stay on the Chargers? The assumption is no. But based on these odds, your mind goes to crazy places, because who's the coach of the Chargers?
Jim Harbaugh.
And who's the one guy who said, I would take him #1 overall if I had that pick?
The guy who won a national title with him, Jim Harbaugh.
And so is it that absurd, the path that Nuno is leading us down, to think that maybe possibly Jim Harbaugh says, you know what? This guy is so good and is so valuable that if he, quote unquote, slips to us at 5, we have to take him, even if we don't play him right away. And we put extra pressure on a guy that we all think is going to be a megastar under Harbaugh in Justin Herbert to perform. Because if not, I got my guy sitting behind him. I have to assume, Smalls, that this would be, the odds are lowering for him to be drafted in that slot, because that seems like the obvious slot for a team like the Vikings or the Giants to move up one slot, or anyone else that would be interested in potentially drafting this guy to get at number 5. But Nuno threw us for a loop on this one, because could the Chargers actually draft him?
They could. They absolutely could. Jim Harbaugh has made no bones about the fact that he loves J.J. McCarthy and he thinks he's going to be an excellent pro. And why wouldn't he love the guy? He helped him get a national championship at Michigan. He was malleable for Harbaugh. He did what was asked of him. He played the role to perfection at Michigan. He's got the makeup of a player that Jim Harbaugh would want with the Chargers. However, despite his love for J.J. McCarthy, I keep going back to the fact that a massive reason why he left Michigan to go to the NFL was to take this job specifically because he wanted to coach Justin Herbert. Before this was even on the radar, months ago, Greeny came in here and joined us and said he spoke to Harbaugh at a funeral. Yep. And one of the things that he told him was how much he loved Justin Herbert. And so even though I could definitely see the stars aligning and the Chargers with their first-round pick, picking J.J. McCarthy if he's there, I also don't know if they would want to waste that opportunity to get more talent to build around Justin Herbert, who is a huge reason why Harbaugh's even there.
I agree with you. It would seem so unlikely, but then how do you explain the odds going from 100-1 to 6-1? The only thing you could do is really look at the fact that he would be drafted in that slot, right? That's how you would have to look at it. In terms of where he is potentially going to be drafted, the odds where they open and where they are currently by way of ESPN Bet for J.J. McCarthy, who is probably the most interesting person here in the draft, because as to where he goes, we know Caleb Williams is going 1 to the Bears. We know Jaden Daniels is going 2 to Washington. We know Drake May, who's going to be on with us at 8:35 a.m. Eastern time, the North Carolina quarterback, is going number 3. We just don't know the team. We assume it's either New England or Minnesota is where we go, right? We assume Marvin Harrison Jr. is going 4 to Arizona, unless maybe possibly somebody trades up there. And I think we have to assume J.J. McCarthy goes 5 or 6.
Yes, that's where I have him slotted.
But we have no idea what team he would go to. And some think maybe he just slips all the way to 11 and Minnesota, right? So if you look at it, the odds where they open, where they are now. Number 2 overall, 50-1 to 10-1 now. Number 3 overall, 6-1 to 4-1 now. Number 4 overall, 16-1 to now plus 350. And number 5 overall, 13-1 to now plus 240. So that 4 or 5 slot is where ESPN Bet is targeting him going. But Nuno noticing what he noticed about the Chargers is very interesting, specifically because who the quarterback is, the Michigan guy, and who the coach is, the Michigan guy with the tattoo, M15-0. And could we be thrown for a loop in a way that none of us see coming?
So in this scenario, if they were to stay put at 5 and take McCarthy there.
It's one of the biggest draft shocks we'll ever have.
Will it be that shocking
Yes.
because of the coach?
Yeah, they have. You just said it. The big funeral. Sorry to whoever passed. Rest in peace.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers.
Yeah. And we don't actually know because Greeny and Harbaugh were at a funeral that just they are talking about talking about Justin Herbert. Yeah, because you said it. The guy took the job because of the other guy, and now he's going to replace him?
Not replace him, but you always say you have them laminated, the quarterback rules.
I'm glad you brought that
draft
up.
a quarterback when you want one, not when you need one.
Yeah.
And he wants J.J. McCarthy. He doesn't need him.
I'm fascinated by this. I am fascinated by
So
this.
it wouldn't be that.
Yes, it still would be stunning. Absolutely stunning.
I wouldn't be completely shocked. I would be a little bit more shocked that some other team didn't jump up to get him.
888-SAY-ESPN is your telephone number to join the show. We got two things out there for you guys to chime in on. One, what are you calling it? The North